Today we have an extremely awesome, unique guest with us. He has spent the past 20 years interviewing a wide variety of the biggest and brightest stars in film and music, including the likes of Tom Cruise, Hugh Jackman, Harrison Ford, Angelina Jolie, The Rock, Will Smith, Willie Nelson, Metallica, Ozzy Osbourne, Sandra Bullock, and Tiesto. I think it's a good time to kind of tell everybody on the podcast just a little bit about your book.
It's really a book about success. A friend of mine looked at me and said, "Man, how are you going to write a book called Going For It? And you're not going for it. Look at you." And it was like one of those wah, wah moments. I was just like,
Man, thanks for coming up here and giving me the time of day. And
of course.
Coming to the blue couch.
I like this. And the dog.
Yeah, we
I'll
got
come here and
Ollie.
just pet the dog all day long.
I'm glad to have you here. You look glowing.
Glad to be here. That's shocking considering my life. Actually, I'm doing a lot better now, so this is good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the season of improvement, the season of manifestation.
And a good face regimen.
Yeah. For everybody tuning in, welcome to the podcast where we explore the journeys of extraordinary individuals who have unlocked their creative potential and in turn found success and fulfillment beyond the norm. I'm your host, Brendan Bolt, and today we have an extremely awesome, unique guest with us. I'm going to tell you more about him here, but just like, look at this guy. He's amazing in every way. Every time I see him, he brings a smile to my face. Are you happy to be here?
Oh, I'm very happy to be here. Anytime I get to hang out on a blue couch with you and the dog, it's fuzzy too. I'm happy. I'm happy in general, or I try to be.
Amazing. So for those of you who don't know Paul Salfen, I'm super excited to be the person to put you on. But Paul is a Dallas-based TV host, producer, editor, writer, content creator, consultant, and entrepreneur who currently holds the positions of producer and co-host of the Drew Pearson Live, The Ultimate Hail Mary,
Yes.
and producer-writer for AM/FM magazine. Those are all things you love?
Yes, those are all things I love.
Nice. Just to continue on that, Salfen is also, I kind of shortened this because it was so
I know, it's
so
too
much
mu- it's
amazing
too
stuff.
much.
Paul is also seen internationally as a correspondent for the OSN in Dubai, which is seen in 22 markets in the Middle East. He's previously held positions in projects such as the Telly Award-winning show Let's Go DFW
Yes.
on CBS, the Lone Star Emmy-nominated and Communicator Award-winning show Inside Entertainment,
That's right.
the Drew Pearson Show on Fox Sports, Envy Productions, 944 Magazine, Flavor Pill, Scoreboard, Dallas Music Guide. He did all the celebrity interviews for Cinemark as a pre-show theatrical content and so much more. I've hardly even brushed the surface here, and
It's too much. I say yes to everything. That's the problem. I figure out how to time manage it later.
now I feel like I've accomplished nothing just compared to your point.
Shoot, there's so many things I cannot do.
And one of the big topics we'll be focusing on today is that he has spent the past 20 years interviewing a wide variety of the biggest and brightest stars in film and music, including the likes of Tom Cruise, Hugh Jackman, Harrison Ford, Angelina Jolie, The Rock, Will Smith, Willie Nelson, Metallica, Ozzy Osbourne, Sandra Bullock, and Tiesto, my boy, as well as a series of sports, travel, and business articles, including features of luminaries like Sir Richard Branson himself. So every celebrity that I can name was just on that list right there.
It's wild. I started thinking, because people always ask me, who do you still want to interview? And I keep thinking, I don't know. Like I made myself a list, like, years ago, and I kind of went through the list. Unless they passed away, I kind of got to it all. And so now I'm just starting to think, well, what, like a sitting president, like in the Oval Office, or the Dalai Lama? Now I'm like, where do I go from here? So I'm starting to go down weird categories. Now I've been interviewing a lot of astronauts and celebrity chefs, and it just kind of keeps expanding. I'm like, who else do I want to talk to?
Man, I easily see you pulling the Dalai Lama into an interview now, and astronauts. Wow, yeah, it's just only up from here, isn't it?
Yeah, well, where else is there to go?
So most importantly, Paul just finished writing his first book called Going For It,
That's right.
which is super exciting.
Yeah.
But we're going to discuss this later in the session because I kind of wanted to start from the beginning.
All right.
So
I was a small child, and Clarksdale, Mississippi. That's true.
Can you kind of tell us a bit more about your early life and what initially sparked your interest in this creative field?
Mm. So I used to watch MTV all the time, and Headbangers Ball was always the show that me and my friends watched, and during all the mullet times, and I always loved it when they would bring the bands on the show, and I because I just wanted to know more about them, and I would read about them in magazines, and I've just always been just a sponge for music, and I always want to figure out like who's behind these things. I always wanted to know who's in the band and where they come from and all that stuff. And so, um, so I would watch these interviews on MTV, and I go, yeah, but how do you do this? And so in high school, outside of Philadelphia, we had a broadcasting class. I don't know if you ever had this, but it was like old prison style TVs in the corner of the room, and all the students poorly did the sports and news and weather. I got stuck with the weather, and oh my gosh, I really hope that footage doesn't exist, or maybe it'd be funny. But it's just like, they're holding up cards, and you're going, it's 70, and you're trying to read it. It's sunny, and everybody in school is like, is he high? I wasn't, I just couldn't. I was like, what is going on here? And the teacher is just very dismissive of me. I had long hair and rock t-shirts and ripped jeans, and he's just like, not taking this seriously. So he said, well, we had to do our own segments. You like music, go talk to some bands, and just waved me off. So me and my friend Joe, um, we took the big clunky cameras. We went downtown Philadelphia and just started knocking on every tour bus door, side door, backstage door. Uh, and um, and so like it's Stone Temple Pilots, Megadeth, all these people, you know. And even ones that were popular around Philadelphia. And we come back with all this footage, and the teacher literally smacks his head. He goes, I met bands in the school. And we're like, oh no. He's like, good job. I don't know how you figure that out. So all of a sudden it was the bug that bit me, and I just thought, I have to do this. So then when I went to Penn State, I go to the school newspaper and I go, I want to do all your band interviews. And I showed them the stuff, and they go, no, this has nothing to do with our school. I go, yeah, but people like music. They go to see concerts. And they're like, no, stop. So what did I do? I was managing a record store, and the guy goes, well, who cares? Let's start an online music magazine. That's like the thing. And we did. And of course, we had people coming in to do in stores, and just a bunch of artist support. And so all of a sudden, I just started making these wild requests, just that I had no business doing. Like John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin, and um, Mick Taylor from the Stones, and like got lucky, like Kid Rock, and like all these big ones, and they all said yes. And so by the time I was done with college, I had so much in the way of interviews. So I moved down here to Dallas, and I went to Dallas Morning News. I go, I want to do your celebrity interviews. They're like, yeah, you and everybody else. And they said, but what have you done? And I printed out all this stuff. I'm like, all right, you're up. So
Wow.
that's kind of what started the whole thing.
So that was the pivotal moment that kind of shaped the way you approached this creative
Yeah.
industry.
Hmm.
You landed a few very impressive artists off the get-go, and
Hmm.
then you could just use that credibility to
Yeah.
keep rolling with the large artists.
Yeah. And that's honestly, that's how it still works too. It's like if you're doing this podcast, and, um, I don't know, like somebody that I see often, like, I don't know, Jelly Roll, or somebody comes in and decides to sit down with you. Well, okay, all of a sudden that makes it okay for the next five people to come in. You know what I mean? Like, well, who else have you had on the show? Well, Jelly Roll was here, or, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, fine. Yeah, we'll do it.
So as soon as I get dead mouse, then I'll be able to get everybody else easy after that.
Yeah, well, my friend's his publicist, and that's the thing. It's really a lot of times it's about who you know, and it's also about trust too. They need to know that you're not going to be a jerk and like hit them with all the questions that's going to make them mad and ruin their entire day. You
Hmm.
know, because that's the thing they're always thinking about. Like, please don't ruin my day. Because there's so many people that want to have their little 15 seconds of fame, and do a gotcha thing that's just like makes them mad, or
Yeah, that's the
yeah.
other really fun thing about just knowing you as a person. I think that how do they explain where there's like seven layers of like everybody in the world
Hmm.
through seven people,
Yeah.
but since I know Paul Salfen, I therefore only have like three layers between people because you're so
Oh.
well networked.
Yeah, it's just weird. I've just tried to never do anybody wrong, and always try and give a good interview. And always, I only interview the people I'm truly interested in. If they're just an artist that I just don't get their music, or I don't like what they do, or if it's just something that like it's just something off about it, I just don't do it. You know? And so I think people can feel when they're genuinely interested in what you're doing. And it makes all the difference in the world, because you'd be surprised how many people do these interviews that just do not care about the people. You know, they're just there because it's just a job. You know, and for me, this is what I enjoy doing. You know, I love telling interesting people stories.
Nice. And kind of onward from the story you were telling about you getting your first few interviews and then that
Hmm.
building onto something even bigger. What would what would you say that your mindset was like as far as like, hey, I'm gonna pursue this creative thing.
Hmm.
There's my gut might be telling me no. There's this voice in my head that's saying like, go for it.
Yeah.
Sorry to use your book title there.
Oh, that's the whole thing. Yeah.
Nice. So like you heard that little voice and you wanted to pursue it and then you doubled down. You're like, let's do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's really sort of, I mean, somebody has to do it. And as silly as it is, you know, it's like, why not me? You know? Because, you know, that's the way a lot of people's mindset is, you know, well, yeah, well, why me? You know? Like, you know, and it just flips to, well, why not me?
Yeah.
I don't know who else you got.
It's the Zuckerberg
I
mindset.
guess, yeah.
Somebody's gonna make it. Why don't it? Why couldn't it be me?
Well, you know, the thing is if you truly have a passion for it, like you almost have to do it, you know, because it's gonna bother you if not. Could I go work at a accounting office somewhere? I guess, you know,
Yeah.
but I would be miserable the whole time. I'd be thinking about when could I get just a little piece of happiness by doing something like this. So instead, I'm just taking that piece of happiness all the time.
Moving on to your creative process, what would
Mhm.
you say is something that inspires you the most, or kind of how do you have a specific routine or a
Mhm.
framework going about the things you do?
Yeah, so I've now been doing this so long that I'm on so many lists that I don't really pitch people. They usually come to me. So if someone's coming to town, or if someone's got a new book or album or TV show, they usually say, "Hey, do you want to talk to so and so?" You know, and it's this never-ending cycle of like, there's always going to be a new show coming out, always going to be a new book, always going to be a new movie, and different people are available each time. So even if it's like, you know, someone's got like there's a big, you know, Top Gun movie. Well, even if I don't talk to Tom Cruise, there's also, you know, the rest of the great cast, you know, and then next time it might be not them, and you know, and so it kind of works out to where I don't even talk to the same people twice usually. Sometimes I do, but sometimes I'll see people all the time, and then other people they're kind of like elusive.
Hmm.
Um, but what keeps me going is always having something to look forward to. So I do. It's kind of ridiculous, but I usually do so between 2 and 5 interviews a day. You know, so at the end of the week, I have, you know, quite a few interviews to sift through, and thankfully, I don't. Maybe it's bad that I don't edit them, but like, you know, because I'm so busy doing the talking monkey thing.
Yeah.
I never really learned that skill, but I just kind of just do it, send it off, do it, send it off, and then it appears on the interwebs. So, um, but what keeps me interested is that you know, I have, of course, my phone calendar, but I have this written planner where I have it like, and I look at the week and I go, oh, that's cool. Okay, good. Oh, that'll be fun. Oh, look at that. And the whole week is filled with like those like, oh, look at that kind of things, you know?
Yeah.
And so every day I can think of something that is to look forward to. So it's kind of like I don't know. It's like the reward at the end, you know? It's like, you know, when people go to work, oh, when I get off work, I get to go do this or go eat here. But with me, it's like, oh, tomorrow I get to talk to whoever it is, you know?
And what are some of the larger challenges that you face right now?
Mm, just time management. It's always been my problem. You know, like I said, I say yes to everything and try and figure out how to time manage it later. So, um, just being good about keeping up with everything, but also doing a balance now, because now I'm promoting something finally. I have a book.
Hmm.
And so now I have to be like, don't forget about your own thing, you know, because I'm
Hmm.
so busy telling other people's stories that, you know, I need to work a little bit harder on mine. I always put myself last, and I need to not do that. You know, I need to go, okay, on, you know, whatever, Fridays or whatever, I'm just going to start sending out more stuff about the book, you know,
Hmm.
as opposed to just talking to other people all day.
Yeah. So if you took your career as you've experienced it and kind of diced it up into categories, and we picked out a growth phase where you were by far growing the most,
Hmm.
developing into who you are today as a creative,
Hmm.
what would you say was like a lesson learned? Perhaps it was like a failure or like something that didn't work out the right way that really kind of sculpted you into who you are and like
Hmm.
one of your now the best things about you because you yeah.
Yeah, I think it's probably so. I'd spent so much time kind of building myself and writing for other people. And then I was the editor in chief of Envy magazine here in Dallas. And it went from like this little party magazine that had like club party photos and, like it's just silly stuff in there and, a bunch of ads. And then they brought me in as editor in chief. We started doing celebrity interviews, CEO interviews, and started really like polishing it up. And I got thicker and thicker with the advertising and we started to get a lot more traction with everything. Well, and then print just kind of took a hit, and we were almost solely supported by car companies and liquor companies. And when they pulled out their back page advertising and all the inside advertising, all of a sudden I was like, oh no, what do we do? And we didn't adapt to doing all the online content that we should have done. And so, I went from we had this beautiful office in Victory Park, and I was driving this very nice Mercedes, and had the coolest place overlooking the city. And then all of a sudden they're like, "Well, and that's it." I'm like, "Wait, what?" And they sold it off to 944 magazine in LA, and then 944 folded, and all of a sudden it was like we were
Domino.
flat on my face, and I was like, "Oh no, what now?" And then, started looking at the job market, people are like, yeah, but we don't need a magazine editor or we don't need a TV host. I was like, I do more than that. I do sales and marketing and all that. And so I had to sort of like reshift and go,
Pivot.
what now? Yeah. And because a lot of what I did, I've always held up other things while I've been doing this, but a lot of what I do is white label stuff. So if you have a company, I'll write your all the corporate bios, I'll write the product descriptions, I'll do all that stuff, but my name's not on it. So it's hard, it's really sort of hard to show, hard to prove. And so I had to, just kind of shift and go, okay, you can't just rest and be like, hey, cool, look at me, like I got this nice job and everything's good,
Yeah.
because it could all like the rug can cut out from under you. So it taught me that I need to have a backup plan and save a little and not spend money like it's going to catch on fire the next day if I don't spend it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But those are hard things that you don't really figure out until you're in it, right?
Yeah.
So, and now, of course, since I've had other things that have stopped, we had that Let's Go DFW show on CBS and Inside Entertainment on KTXD, and then Drew Pearson show on Fox Sports, and then on ABC. Those things have all ended, and so I've all had to figure out each time. Okay, now what? And I'm a lot quicker with it now.
So it was almost as if each of those steps that were it was a very short step, but it was
Hmm.
always progressing you in the
Sure.
right direction. Easy to see connecting the dots looking back.
Yeah.
Um,
None of it's ever been like a move down to like, I mean, of course, with the Drew Pearson, the show that we're doing now, the Ultimate Hail Mary, it started out with a podcast, you know, um, and we've always been TV. And so some people saw that as like a drop. But I mean, podcasts are popular. It just depends on where you are. But now it's gone back to TV with Roku. So we're doing okay. But it's always just like a mad scramble to make sure that you're
mhm.
that you're doing okay. This business is too crazy. Sometimes I envy the people that have like those nice cushy sales gigs or those work from home jobs, or they're working for who knows whatever pharmaceutical company. They never leave the house. And I'm like, must be nice. But then I think I'd miss the hustle too,
Yeah. They say that comfort is the enemy of progress.
Yeah.
And judging by how not comfortable we are right now, we're making a lot of progress, my friend.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and there's different phases too. Some people never do anything differently, you know? I know a guy right down the road who's had the same sales gig for, I think it's like 18 years now, and has a very nice place, but has not. done anything besides that, and never really goes anywhere, doesn't go on vacation, doesn't, I'm like, shoot, my life has been like one big, party slash vacation slash new experience, like, and while it wasn't as rewarding financially as his job, I would take my existence in a second over that.
And now, kind of picking up the breadcrumbs, you're talking about your life as a whole,
Hmm.
some lessons learned, some exciting new things coming our way. I
Yeah.
think it's a good time to kind of tell everybody on the podcast just a little bit about your book.
Yeah. So it's called Going For It, and it's a collection of quotes and stories and other pieces of from interviews that I've done, as well as some, original stuff just for the book. But it's really a book about success. So it's three different sections. One is advice, where I ask everybody what they tell somebody looking up to them. And then the wisdom, which is where I usually talk to them about, what is it that they keep in mind that keeps them on the right path, or what they've learned, what they do differently. And then a question we came up with on Drew's show is the Hail Mary moment. Of course, Drew Pearson caught the Hail Mary from Roger Staubach. And so we asked people their Hail Mary moment, which is that moment in your life or career where you just had to go for it and it worked out for you. Those stories are the craziest. And it's my favorite section in the book because when I was in high school and interviewing these people, I'm like, oh, it must be nice. They're all like rich rock stars or rich, actors. They weren't always like that. There's so many people that slept in their cars and borrowed money, pretended to be waiters to get into places. Like, I mean, the stuff is nuts. And there's to leave and their moms are crying, like there's a lot of people that did not have, most of them did not have any kind of smooth path to get there. And so this is meant to be a book full of motivation for people, just the way it's like a little square book, and you should be able to turn to any page and go, oh, that's cool. And that's the idea. Now I'm trying to get it into schools and libraries. So I'm putting that out there,
Yeah.
and so it's been accepted in a couple. So now the book will definitely outlive me, which is cool. And it's won 3 awards so far. And I just feel like, okay, this is good. I'm getting good feedback that it's inspiring people. And shoot, I always said that if I could inspire one person, then I'd be happy. But hopefully it's more than one person.
You can rest assured you've inspired definitely more than one
Oh,
person. Hopefully, there's a lot more people on this podcast now that can just draw some of this creative inspiration from you.
I hope so.
Really go chase down what their soul is telling them that they need to accomplish.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, it's a jagged path sometimes. Like just this year, I tried to do better myself. I kind of got to a place. A friend of mine looked at me and said, "Man, how are you going to write a book called Going For It, and you're not going for it? Look at you." And it was like one of those wah, wah moments. I was just like, I was kind of like, just felt like overweight and sweaty and just kind of unmotivated. And then the book came out, and just something about it just clicked. I was like, "You're right. I
Boom.
cannot be that sweaty person being like, oh yeah, you got to read my book. No, like I got to, walk the walk. I got to live the life." And so I got so many rules for myself. They're all self-imposed, thankfully nothing bad happened. It's just one of those, okay, I got to, no more fast food, no more drinking, no more late nights, no more, just, any of the nonsense, any of the time wasting things. And,
Sacrifices must be made.
yeah,
Discomfort must be felt.
yeah, well, hopefully not. Hopefully it's not that bad. Kind of a weenie like that. Like I'd like a smoother road, but the thing is you have to do it a little bit better. If you want to inspire people, you should be inspiration worthy, right? So I'm trying. So I lost 15 pounds. I cleaned up. My skin looks better. I feel well rested. My brain is a lot better. So I'm sticking to it.
Nice.
Hmm.
I love that for all of us. And could you give any, practical advice for the audience members on how to maybe, muster up the courage to like chase their dreams and be
Yeah.
creative?
Yeah, it is funny. The reason that the book is called Going For It is because the common denominator between all these people is they just worked harder and they just tried harder. They didn't give up. And so really that is kind of the message, is don't give up, because you don't know how many people in this book had talk about how they almost quit or they did quit. And then that day they got the call or whatever it is, and it's shocking how many people like that that you've heard of or that you watched on TV that were just like, "Ah, that's it, I think I'm done." And I was actually the same way. Right before the book came out, I was like, who cares? I don't, that's it. I'm done. I'm tired of struggling with this business and the people and all that stuff. And then, something happened. I just turned it around. And so, just finding that goal and just going, just really hammering in on it. Like, okay, I got to put this book out, and so what goes into that? That's a lot of hard work because you turn in the book, and I'm from like the magazine and newspaper world, and so I just thought you turn it in, and there it is in the stores, and they go, oh no. Now the work begins. Oh no. And it takes at least 6 months once you turn the book in. For like if you turned in your book today, it wouldn't come out for 6 months from now. They got to get the barcode, they got to get it accepted by Amazon, and of course now I've got the book online in Walmart, Target, and Barnes and Noble. But that takes approval levels. So it's exciting, but I would tell everybody just to, man, you have to do it. Otherwise it's gonna bother you, and you're gonna be one of those ghosts that haunt places because like your spirit's not done. You'll be
Yeah.
restless. And the what if will plague you. And I'm at the point where what if doesn't plague me. I did everything that I thought I could, and I still continue to every day to make sure they're like, "Ah, there isn't that regret of I should have done that. If my soul lifts off my body and there I go, I can't look down and be like, "Ah," like, no, I did it. I've got a friend who insisted that 3 words were on his tombstone. I did it. And I was like, that's kind of what I want to go for too.
It's a good motto.
Yeah.
Do you have any like funny stories or perhaps favorite projects that you'd like to share?
Mm. Gosh, there's so many funny stories. What can I tell? Part of it is like I make fun of myself all the time, and in trying to do better, I've people are like, you can't talk bad about yourself. Your body doesn't know better. I don't know if that's all true, but the funniest part is. When people ask about me, I was always deflective of it. They say, "What do you do?" I was like, "I'm just a talking monkey." I was sitting there interviewing Shailene Woodley, and she goes, "Yeah, what do you think I am?" Look at us. And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right." And as a part of the funny stories are really just this whole career's been trial and error with a whole lot of error. There's things that I've done that's been so dumb, like why would you do that? And those are the funny things. But
It's where you learn the most.
yeah, because sometimes you don't know any better. Just I laugh at myself all the time, like just thinking, really, you just had those nuts to go out and like just knock on a tour bus door and be like, "Can you talk to us?" And like, no, who does that? But if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
But some of the funniest things were just is going back and looking. I never go back and look at my old interviews because I will try and quit. I'll be like, "Oh, look at you, sit up straighter, like suck it
Sit
in,
up
like
straight, Sean.
please, yeah, do something, yeah." Like comb your hair. Come on, dude, get some sleep. There's a whole list of grievances. So I try not to look at anything. But
There's a whole lot more fun stories to come, I'm sure.
oh my gosh, yeah. I'm just trying to think of like something that's really really hilarious.
But also appropriate for the podcast.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sure you've interviewed some rock stars and people that are just like off the wall funny.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. And the people are like, well, what can you the thing is everyone that the interviews are usually pretty tame. Even the wildest people can behave themselves for 10, 15 minutes at a time. And so okay, the one really funny thing is that the picture that's on the cover of the book of me jumping in the air. So that's me in a full suit jumping into the pool above Southside on Lamar where I lived. And the photographer for Envy, Brian Anderson, was there, and he had his camera on sports mode. He's like, "So what are you gonna do?" I was like, "I'm just gonna jump in." And he's like, "In the full suit?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Be ready, get one shot." He goes, "Well, I'm put on sport mode," and so it's like click, 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 click. And so yeah, so there I was, like, jump and then go into the pool. Full suit, nice suit, shoes, and then I bring it to, and then of course it's just soaked, and people are like, this is the summertime. People are like, well, this guy,
Have a nice establishment
Right,
with
right,
this
yeah, yeah.
crazy guy.
So of course, immediately, like, I was like, man, I don't want to mess up the suit. That's a nice suit. So I go and get the dry cleaning bag, big purple dry cleaning bag, and I throw the whole suit in there, and I go down to the dry cleaners, those by Victory Park. The bag is just soaking, like water's coming out the bottom. And she goes, "You get drunk, fall in pool?" I was like, "No, I did it on purpose." She goes, "Thursday." And I come back and it's so shrunk, like the
Oh,
sleeves are
nice.
up here and like and then the shoes are just warped. And I was like, well, that's it. So I've used the juice out of that photo, like it's been everywhere now. So it's on all the stickers, all the bookmarks, all the everything. And so I went back to my parents. I go, see, it was worth
Worth it.
it.
At the end of the day, as long as you can say worth it.
Oh gosh, yeah. But there's been so many funny things. Like I've ended up in like really, really strange places, like, parties in the Hollywood Hills. I'm like, how did I get here? Or like, just funny thing ended up on stage by accident, or it's like been like a Spinal Tap full of like these like funny things, like how in the world did I get here?
Yeah, I feel like every time I'm backstage at an event, whether it's a festival or a concert, like I can always pretty much depend on seeing you there, just with a group of people
Yeah.
around you, just entertaining, shining like you always are.
Trying.
For your future adventures, travels, funny stories, where's a good place that our audience can keep up with you?
Yeah, so I am on all the social media at Paul Salfen, Salfen, and paulsalfen.com, goingforwardbook.com, and what else? Yeah, if you Google me, you'll see there. You want a good laugh?
Google me.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny. I was in Waco, Texas, of all things, yesterday, and I go into the spinal store, and the guy's like pointing at me. He goes, "I know, you're somebody." And he's like, he Googles me, and he's like, "Oh," and he's like, "You got to sign the wall." And I was like, I don't, I've got a band, but, or, I'm retired, dude, but like,
Nice.
the vinyl is not here. He's like, "No, no, no."
Don't you have like some absurd amount of like autographed vinyl collection at your house?
Yeah, what's funny is like being in this, it's always, when I started out, it's always strange to ask for someone's autograph because you're trying to be professional, But then I would see other people come in and they would just have like a little sack around, and then all of a sudden they come out with this vinyl and they've got all this like beautiful stuff in their wall. So I was like, all right, I got to do something. So I have like a crazy guitar pick collection of all these like bands, just ones they've just pulled out of their pocket. Like Johnny Cash gave me a guitar pick. This is Johnny Cash on it. And, those kind of things that are like, like
Just normal things,
treasures.
right?
Yeah. And I have like tons of signed posters and props and from movies and, all like it's like a ridiculous thing.
See, people, when you're creative and you go for it, you get fun prizes
You
at the
do
end of the
get
day.
fun prizes, sometimes, yeah, sometimes it's that whole thing where I go back to like, I wonder what would have happened if I would have took like the straight and narrow path, like would I be in a house in Richardson and like with a wife yelling at me and, like, and just,
A hot wife yelling at you.
sure, hopefully. She has vision trouble. But I don't know. I just start thinking like, what would my life be like otherwise? But all my friends are always like, dude, how do you do this? Every time I post something, and they'll see me like the Super Bowl or the Grammys or the Oscars. They're like, man, I want your life. I'm like, do you?
Yep.
But
What would you tell them? 3 words. Go for it.
that's right. You have to. I mean, if you don't, what else are you gonna do?
Well, Paul, that's probably around our time. I think you helped me through it because you're the professional here. I'm the amateur.
Just a talking monkey.
There we go.
You
Hopefully,
wind me up. Ooh, 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 ooh.
and don't forget the clapping, the crash
Oh yeah,
cymbals as
I
well.
need one of those.
Talking and
Ching,
crashing
ching,
monkey.
ching, ching. And now I'm gonna pick some little protein, like Nat Geo.
Well, we appreciate you sharing more about your life, your
Yeah,
experiences. You've given us a lot of advice to consider today to
yeah.
help us have the courage to chase our own inspirations and find that creative fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
For those tuning into the podcast, thank you for listening to us babble.
Yeah,
Hopefully, you pulled something helpful out of it. Definitely follow Paul Salfen on all social medias. Instagram's my favorite because I'm a visual person.
yeah.
But definitely pick up his book, Going For It.
Yes.
which just has tons of amazing stories about people's crazy adventures and how they found success through creative fulfillment. So
That's right. That's what you should do. And oh, and then do something good. I got to get one last plug in, and that's for the charity that I'm on the board of called Charity Road. And so that's been a big part of like what's been bothering me is like I want to help other people. I can't feel like I'm just going and having all these fun experiences. So now I'm connecting the dots through people I know, and we're saving food from being tossed out, from places. And so far there's been 100 million pounds of food. And so the founder, Tessina Painter, who's amazing, she just got the Yellow Rose of Texas Award from Governor Abbott. So
wow.
we're just trying to do good things and put food on tables and feed people and do the right thing because, hey, and if I can do any of that, and so now we're also trying to get kids these books so they can feel inspired and just do all that we can. So now I'm doing this whole thing where we companies can sponsor the books. They can put their logo on it, and we just give them away. I don't want to make a thing off of it.
Doing the Lord's work.
Trying to.
I'm gonna put an applause button here so I can have the applause in
Yay!
the background. But
And so it doesn't scare the dog.
yeah, we'll get him some chicken.
Yes.
But yeah, thanks for coming out and
Thanks for
hopefully-
having me.
Yeah, I might even pull you in to like help me interview somebody bigger.
Sure, why
when
not?
I'm too nervous to do it when Dead Mouse finally comes.
Yeah, no, Joel's great, and he's got great answers, but you got to be ready for him. He's very sharp.
Sharp tack.
He wants it very orderly and very researched. Other people they just throw him on the couch. They don't care, but him we actually want to be prepared.
Nice, that's amazing.
Yeah, there's so many good interviews to do, and I believe it. You're gonna do it.
We're gonna do it together.
Let's go.
So for those of you that are here with us, go out, live your life, be courageous.
Do it all.
Chase that voice in your head that's telling you to do something outside the norm, more than
That's right.
the day-to-day life, and stay creative. We'll see you next time.